citizens of the world. How are you all? I hope you're all fine. Today, in this episode, I'm gonna talk about the hottest topic of the century so far. Of course, I'm talking about coronavirus. A virus that came and changed our lives rapidly and radically. We faced changes overnight, changes that we never thought that we'd experience in our lives, right? I remember when they told us that we would be on quarantine here in Greece, I was like, what? What is this? Like quarantine? Like lockdown in our house in 2020? How is this possible? Like, I remember even to this day my initial emotions. I was stunned. I was surprised. I felt like what I was experiencing, what I was living, me, my family, my friends, the whole community of my town, my whole country, and then globally, the whole world, what we were experiencing was a hoax, something of a bad joke, something that couldn't be true, something that the next day in the news would come out and say to us like, you know what, we're just joking with you. That is not true. We're all fine. We're just testing the waters for, I don't know for what, right? But the thing is that didn't happen. And for the next 6 weeks or so, we were in a quarantine. We weren't allowed to leave the house unless we had a very, very important reason, and we're going out with our IDs, and we had papers that were saying where we would go and for how long, and if God forbid wanted to go out to have, you know, like a walk or a run or your you know, personal activities, you would have to be accompanied by someone else. Like, and I was talking to myself, and I wasn't talking to myself, but I was thinking to myself while talking with friends, and we're like, how is that possible? How is that happening? How is it possible that a virus can do something like this? And you know, until then, I had other things, like not just me, but most of us, right? We were thinking that we were isolated by other things in our lives, like technology, like PCs, like stuff like that, that these kind of things like our phone was isolating us and would keep us apart. And not that they don't do it to a degree, but that's what I was thinking until quarantine came. When quarantine came, changed all that, because then, thank God I had my PC and my phone, and I could communicate with friends that I couldn't see, with people I couldn't see, like, I felt so alone, I felt so isolated that if I didn't have my PC to talk through Zoom or Skype or through all these things that allow you to talk with friends and see friends all around the world, or even like next door, right? I would be lost. So the first thing I noticed with coronavirus, with the quarantine for coronavirus, was that it left me, it locked me down. It made me feel alone. It made me feel that I was completely, not just alone, but lonely as well. That was how I felt. Other people felt insecure. Other people felt afraid. Other people felt the loss of what they had until then, that it changed, as I said before, radically. So the feelings, the emotions, the change of our emotions were unbelievable. This virus came to show us what is really important to us, I would say. That's how I saw it. That's how I got the impact of the coronavirus. It came to shook me up and tell me, you know what, Alina, this is what is important for you, not what you've been paying so much attention so far. So I'm thinking to myself that maybe fear shouldn't be what will dictate our future, because people on a global scale are under the regime of fear, and fear is the worst advisor. Fear creates panic, creates anger, creates depression. And depression had been a problem for our world anyway. So now with coronavirus, depression became even worse, became even bigger. People with mental issues went to their extreme, like they really, really hit their red spots. So I think coronavirus came to show us what we should focus on. I know that that might sound a bit weird to some of you, right? How a virus that has such a bad impact so far in our lives, so many lives have been lost already. How come a virus, a deadly virus, can be a good advisor, someone that will lead you the way to the right path? But I believe that it can. Like all things in life have two sides. Coronavirus might be deadly, but also has that side that points us to the right direction, shows us what is that is really worth it in our lives. So I did my introspection, and I found out what things are really, really. Like when you're alone at home, and sometimes you're completely alone, right? Or you're with your family, or you are with people that you do not want to be with. There were many cases like that. Let's not forget this. There were many people on the quarantine that they had to be in families or within a group of people that they didn't want to be with. Let's not forget how much domestic violence exists in the world so far anyway. Imagine if you had to live in a house with people that you've been abused from. It's not easy, and that is not nice. But this isolation that brought you closer to your problem made you realize what is your real problem and how to focus on eliminating that problem from your life. And I do think that you all understand that. We all have the power to change the problems in our lives. We all have the power to change what is wrong. The same way that I did my introspection and I saw what really matters in my life, what things I don't need really, even though I do them, I don't need them. I could get along fine without even having them in my life. Same way I think the rest of the world has done that introspection and knows what is good for them. Everybody knows really what is good for him or for her. So what I'm trying to say is that instead of focusing on the fear that mostly the media is causing, right? The media, if you just watch the news one day, like me, I try not to watch the news because the amount of fear that they radiate, they just show to the world, it's unbelievable. So instead of focusing to that fear, it's better if we focus on positive feelings. It's better if we focus on what we want to see in our lives, the changes that we want to see in our lives. One of them is like to get rid of coronavirus, right? Exactly. Let's focus on living healthy without having any kind of virus around us, surrounding us. Let's focus on a life that is going to be fulfilling for us. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be happy. So what do we do when we want to bring this kind of change, I can tell you from now, the only thing that we can do is not to focus on fear, not to have feelings of anger within us, or have feelings of regrets or resentment, or feelings of how things should be but they're not. And no, things will happen the way we want to, as long as we focus all our power to that direction. And you might tell me that, oh my God, what are you talking about now? This is so difficult, or this is just fantasy. No, it's not. And I'll explain to you right now why it's not. You know, our bodies, our physical entities, is made out of 150,000 plus proteins. Yes, you heard that right. We are more than 150,000 types of proteins. So really what we are is protein. Protein is the way we are being structured, and protein is the way we function, right? The way we function, the way we behave, the way we live, all that is protein. So protein, according to Albert Einstein, is creating and is living within a field of energy. So that makes us realize that all we are is energy. Is energy. And coming back to the coronavirus is a virus, right? We people that so far we hadn't considered ourselves as energy, but as entities that we have borders, we have limits. We have created borders within our countries, but a virus came to prove to us that the borders that we built are not able to protect us. That to me proves, that to me shows in the best way that we are energy.